I'm a big fan of this event. I've been coming here the last several years. I'm such a big fan that at one point 3 years ago, I showed up to this event an entire week early on the dot. It happened. I was very excited. I came here ready to meet other business owners, network, see some presentations. Walked into an empty ballroom exactly 1 week early. Biz Times responded that they can't wait to see me next Wednesday. Then I offered to put on a time management seminar, and they have not tweeted back at me in 3 years. I'm still waiting for that response. But anyway, so the game is changing, and it's changing faster than ever. We now spend over 5 hours a day on mobile on this device. Teens spend about 9 hours a day on this. Millennials somewhere in between that window. And we check this over 150 times a day. It's pretty much an extension of our body. We're glued to this thing. And the companies that learn to win on this are going to win in their business. Also, by 2019, 80% of consumer traffic is going to be video. A lot of things are moving towards video. I'm going to touch on that today and how you guys can win with simple video. And I found this interesting. 96% of Fortune 500 companies lost market share last year. First time that's happened in decades, and they're not really chipping away from each other. A lot of these startup companies who have gotten really good at what I'm going over today in selling and branding have really, built significant businesses, small businesses, but in the millions range that have chipped away and stole market share from a lot of these bigger companies. So excited to be here. And I think you guys all have a good opportunity right now. I work with a lot of small business owners. I understand what they feel like. We've been doing this for several years, and a lot of you may feel like the guy on the left right there. There's a lot going on, a lot of opportunities. You can be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, blogging, podcasting, your website, a lot of different mediums. So one of the guidelines we go by is just go where your customers are already spending time, knowing that target audience, what platforms are they on, and using your product and your brand, how can you really engage them. And what we're going to be going over today is messaging. I'm going to give you guys a clear framework. I'm going to take you through one of the brand exercises we do as an onboarding process for our clients that kind of sets the stage for how we communicate to companies through digital marketing. I'm also going to be going over your website, just a simple checklist that a lot of companies miss out on that can make a big difference when you're trying to convert leads, convert prospects, engage them with your company. I'm also going to talk on how to win on social media, largely on Facebook and Instagram right now. And then we're going to go over some other tactics on what's working right now. Okay, so this is a framework we go through, and I worked with a company called Story Brand out of Nashville over the winter, and they pretty much laid this out. And the human brain, we're drawn to story. That's the way we've been communicating for thousands of years. Essentially, it's the way we survived. And if you can nail down your brand story, it can be very powerful, and a lot of companies get this wrong. And this is how every major Hollywood film is laid out. Every movie script, if you go back. They all start with a character. That character wants something. Then that character has a problem, a catastrophe, a tragedy happens, something big happens right at the beginning. Then they need a guide who shows authority and shows empathy. That's critical, authority and empathy. They give them a plan, they call them to action, and that either results in success or failure. So, if you look at a movie, I like the movie Moneyball. If you guys have seen that, Billy Beane, manager of the A's, he faces a problem, he needs to win games. He kind of had a washed up career, he's wondering if he still has what it takes. And then his baseball fair. He's a small market team competing against the big guys. Those are some issues right there. He meets Peter Brand, Jonah Hill, who has an algorithm. They changed the roster based on that, which resulted in some success for the A's. And this can work in pretty much any movie. One of my favorite movies from back in the day, Happy Gilmore found Chubbs, and the intern, Anne Hathaway, Robert De Niro, Luke Skywalker, Yoda. It just goes on and on. This is how motion pictures are laid out. So what a lot of brands miss on is they talk about themselves a lot. They position themselves, their company, as the hero in their own story. But your customers are really looking for a guide. So how can you be that guide? So I'm going to show you what we do at Go Get It. And again, there's a sheet of paper on all your seats. If you put your email on there and hand it to one of us in the back of the room, or just leave it on your seat, I'll pick it up and get you guys the slide deck if you want this. So our hero, small business owner or CMO looking to grow their company. Their problems, they're busy, they have a lot on their plate, they're confused as to what to do when it comes to digital, frustrated with their current marketing efforts, likely wasting money, and kind of philosophically, can we compete with the big boys? We don't have the budget that large organizations do. So we position ourselves as a guide. If you go to our website, a lot of our collateral, if you stop by our booth today, and authority. We can show past results, clients we've helped hundreds of business owners over the last several years. We use testimonials, and then empathetically, we're a small, fast-growing company ourselves. We know what it's like to run a small business and what it takes to be successful. Our plan is pretty simple. We go into a business, learn all about it, strategize on how we can help them out, and then we get to work on that. We call them to action simply on our website, tell them to contact us, work with us, etc. And that results in success, hopefully business growth, peace of mind, time, money saved, and failure could be continuing going down the direction they're going down. So this is one example of Go Get It's a brand script. I would highly recommend creating your own. You guys know your companies better than I do. If you need assistance, we'd be happy to do so with doing that. So now we're going to touch on your website. So this is a little checklist on what pretty much every website should do, regardless of industry, and then I'm going to take a run through a couple different ones. So, does it pass the grunt test? And that's, can someone repeat back, what do you do, how can you make my life better, and where do I buy within 5 seconds of being on your website? We have very, very short attention spans, so if you can do that right away. Also, what's the goal? A lot of sites you land on, there's stuff all over the place, there's a lot of clutter. Are you trying to build your email list? Are you trying to get people to contact you? What are you doing on there? So just having that clear user experience. Does it speak directly to the customer? Does it call them to action? Does it position you as the guide, them as the hero? Is the imagery aspirational? So a lot of the imagery we use on websites we design, we get photos or video reels that show that success bucket. What's it going to look like when the client's successful after working with us if they land on our website, or it's positioning us as a guide. And then design for mobile. I put some stars by that. I added that in last night when I was going through and realized a decent amount of sites still are not mobile friendly, so I did want to address this. 60% of web traffic's coming from mobile. If someone lands on your site and it's not mobile friendly, they're going to bounce right off. It's kind of like having a retail store and telling, 60% of your audience they're not allowed in. It's like that today. That's where people are coming from. It's going to keep moving more and more towards this as time goes on. So now I can run through a few sites. Hannah, if you want to go to Ridgeview first. Yeah, so this is just a site we did for a dental company. We helped them with the rebrand. They switch between 5 photos. A lot of them are families with kids smiling in kind of adventurous settings, and we just tell them straight up, dentistry for the adventure ahead. People know what they do. It appeals to those millennial parents they were trying to attach. It's very easy to set an appointment. If you scroll up, call now. And then if you want to learn more, there's those tools on the upper hand. You can learn about their services, which if people are interested before setting an appointment, you know where to go. Hannah, you want to go to the legendary Tommy Tank? Yeah. So Tommy Tank is a guy, he just opened a gym and we're building some online course stuff for him. He appeals to boomers. He's 57, he has 7% body fat, he overcame a heart injury, and obviously boomers have a ton of issues with their health. A high percentage of the country's obese, all this stuff. So we distilled it down into, you have one body, own it. Whether you're trying to live your best life after 50 or building the foundation for a healthy future, Tommy Tank helps you control your health. That is his real name, by the way. And he did actually get in Men's Fitness this month's issue. He has a one-page article in there, which is pretty cool. So you got that. If you scroll down a little bit, you know, time doesn't slow down for us. That's why we have to make every minute count. It shows off as 22.5-minute workout. That's addressing a concern because a lot of people don't like going to hour-long classes, so that's kind of unique. And then if you watch that video, which we won't get into, that tells a story. Hannah, you want to go to the real estate one? Great. Okay, so it's my buddy who owns a real estate company in the Detroit area. Their business is up 50% this year. All they did was tweak their website, start shooting a video for every listing and putting $25 behind it on Facebook. They've grown exponentially. So what I like about this site, as someone who would be a kind of confused first-time home buyer, your dream home, your dream price. We're award-winning realtors ready to serve you 7 days a week. Schedule an appointment. It speaks to you. They just have some logos that build credibility of awards they've gotten. And then I love this line right here. Buying or selling a home doesn't have to be overwhelming. And then they distill it down into a 3-step process. What they've done is they've really taken what's complicated and just pushed it down to where, as someone who, like me, if I wanted to buy a house, I'd be overwhelmed and clueless, I would be ready to work with these guys. And a lot of issues that we have in our own businesses, we're so wrapped up in them, we know so much about them, we want to get that information out, and that's how we communicate to our customers. But all they really care about it is themselves. So if you're communicating kind of complicated on a 10, you want to bring that jargon down like you're communicating to a novice, and that's more effective to distill it down that way. All right, we can keep rolling. So that is my job to move the slide deck forward. Okay. All right, Facebook trends right now. Facebook's moving quick, so people are spending over an hour a day on Facebook. Video content is 1,200% more likely to get shared than text and images. 92% of people trust personal recommendations over brand recommendations. So you think about that, you think about, you know, if people are sharing my content a lot more, those are personal recommendations. So that's why the creative element, that content, is so vital. Highly targeted Facebook ads, I'm going to touch on those. That revenue keeps going up 50% year over year. Facebook has just adjusted and adapted so well as a business. And people prefer communicating on Facebook Messenger, the app, opposed to phone and email, which is interesting. So if you go to GoGetIt's website right now and click chat or contact, it just logs you in from Facebook and you can send us a message on there. I think that's where a lot of things are moving. Obviously you need to know your demographic, but Facebook Messenger is really coming on, especially if you're going toward those millennials, and that keeps skewing older as well. So creating that option, it's great. People send you a message, and then opposed to going back and forth with an email, it's just really fast. We can chat right away. Also, if you broadcast a message, those right now have 80% open rates and 30% click-through rates, opposed to an email where you're getting 30% open and 3% click-through. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what Messenger does in the next couple of years. We're experimenting with it right now. I'm not going to go too deep because, you know, we're still at that beginning phase, but keep an eye out for that. All right, so when you're setting up Facebook ads, one on the left, I don't know, did any of you guys see Facebook posts from the Biz Times leading up to this? Anyone in here? Few. I guess maybe we could have done a better job, or some of you don't want to raise your hands, but things to know. Does your campaign have a clear goal? Who's your detailed target audience? I'm going to be going through that on the next slide. In knowing your numbers, so important ones. What's your cost per lead? What's your cost per acquisition? So if you're selling memberships, tickets, apparel, consulting gigs, whatever you guys might be selling, how much does it cost to acquire that customer, and what's the average transaction? and then lifetime customer value. If your average transaction is at first is higher than your cost per acquisition, then you're winning, and that's just going to get better over lifetime customer value on there. And then just keep in mind, as I've gone over in the brand script, a good message is when the audience feels understood by you, showing that empathy. So for this post on the BizTimes, a lot of what we were doing is BizTimes has a large email list, so we take that email list, we plug it into Facebook, and then Facebook matches their email subscribers up with their Facebook profiles, and we can target that. That's considered their warm audience. We also did some cold audiences, so targeted business owners who are interested in, Entrepreneur Magazine, Wired, other stuff between the ages of 25 and 60 who lived within 15 miles of Milwaukee. That was kind of a cold audience. Their email list was a warm audience we used. So this is a checklist. I can send you guys this on the slide deck of just things to ask yourself when you're setting up these campaigns. So what's the goal? Important to know that. Is there a warm audience? How many of you are in the B2B space? So most of you, probably about 80%. So if you see that ad on the right that I set up, we just released our own video show. We answer a question every week. They get submitted, and we're putting out that kind of content. So what I did for targeting this is I took people who engaged with GoGetIt's Facebook page, that warm audience. I took GoGetIt's email list, and then I personally have over 2,000 LinkedIn connections. How many of you are active on LinkedIn? Great. So a lot of these people you're going after who are on LinkedIn, they're also spending a lot of time on Facebook, and that time keeps increasing. So if you guys know, you can actually export your LinkedIn connections, all their email addresses. So I took those 2,200 email addresses, plugged those into Facebook as well as this, and then targeted that warm audience, my LinkedIn connections, our Facebook fans, and our GoGetIt email list. And again, when this content's so shareable and you're trying to get people to share your content, going after that warm audience and letting it spread, you're pretty much always going to be a little more effective that way. Although the cold audience can be effective too. So when you're doing that, it's good to know who the authority figures they follow in your industry are. The more niche, the better. What books, magazines, newspapers do they read? You can target readers of those. What events, what websites, where do they live, what tools do they use? You can target income, hobbies, demographics. So the targeting is so accurate. And if the creative's good and you target these ads right, they can be a very powerful tool. So this is a campaign we did for the City Club last year, and I thought it would be a good example because I think the numbers are pretty relevant to a lot of your businesses. They were looking to attract young professionals, millennial members who are obviously spending a lot of time on Facebook, so we targeted people within that age range, certain interests within 10 miles of Milwaukee, and ran a campaign. We ran a 3-month free trial membership, which is a lot to give away. That's not easy to do, that's good, yet it's a very, very compelling offer, right? You're probably gonna click on that. So just know, the better the offer you put out, the deeper the discount, the more traffic you're going to get. It doesn't necessarily weed people out, if hey, get a three-month membership for $100, we would get significantly less leads, but those are paying money and they're probably better. So just keep that in mind, and it's different for every business. But what happened here basically is we had 110 total leads. Those were the ones that opted in on the website or who entered right in through the lead ad. You can create an ad on Facebook where people can just enter their email right there. Our client vetted those leads. It turned out 40 of them gave their credit card information, did a trial membership. 5 of those 40, so 5 of the 110 converted to members, which isn't that high of a percentage, but it is kind of a big deal to join a club like that. And if you look at it, the estimated revenue over year 1 out of those 5 members is 10 to 12 grand, and all we did was spend $70, $80 on Facebook ads. We ran it. Obviously there was some work involved in getting everyone onboarded, but this stuff can be pretty effective. Another one, my friend Rachel, who's a realtor, Rachel the realtor, recently just started running ads. So she's new to this, so I thought it would be a good example to show as well. And I like her copy. Let me guess, you heard the buzz about market and interest rates. You've contemplated buying and selling. You've seen open houses and Stockzillow, but still have no idea how to start the process. Free consultation. So that copy qualifies the people who want to click, they're interested. It asks 3 questions. If you answer yes to all those 3, as well as the last one, you're probably going to be a good lead for it. It's good to always start with a yes question on a lot of these ads. So if we jump back quick, actually to the Biz Times, are you looking to grow your business and build your network in Southeast Wisconsin? The 2017 Biz Expo features over 2,500 business owners. Fact, fact, fact. So you kind of hook them right away with a yes question. If they say yes, they're more compelled to read the rest of it. And then that copy should be a lot of benefits as well as relating to that audience. So what Rachel did, she put this out. She only spent $30. She had 37 website clicks, a very, very small sample size, but it shows you don't have to spend a lot of money on these to get an effect. She ended up getting a client out of one person who contacted her. It was for a $200,000 property. She gets her 3.6%. She'll make $7,200 from spending $30 on ads. So the ROI can be high, very high on these, just depending on the product you're selling. If you're selling, if you're a realtor, if you're selling consulting where your clients are worth thousands of dollars, if you're selling these gym memberships or club memberships and that lifetime customer value is high, you can afford to spend a good amount of money to acquire that prospect, just knowing your numbers on that front. All right, so now we're going to move along to video. All right, so Facebook video is vital. I went over 1,200% more likely to get shared. 80% of all internet traffic consumer will be video by 2019. Native videos on Facebook have a 10 times higher reach than on YouTube if you post a link. So directly uploading those videos to Facebook is very important. 90% of users said product videos were helpful in the decision process, so I'm going to go over some content themes that should be relevant to you guys' businesses. I'm going to touch on Facebook Live. How many of you have tried this? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, we did a podcast with Angela and Brett, or Greg from Married in Milwaukee over there, who were on yesterday. We ran a Facebook Live with those guys. But anyway, so we like this. It notifies fans when you go live, increasing engagement. People like the raw, authentic footage, kind of the behind the scenes. It's real, it's not staged. And these videos are viewed 3 times longer than regular videos on Facebook. So pretty much for those of you who don't know, you go to the Facebook app, go to your page manager, you click live, and then you just start filming. And we did one from the Biz Times earlier. If you go to Go Get It's page, you can see that on there. So a checklist to go over to make sure you're doing this right. Do you have a plan? A lot of Facebook Live videos suck. They're just not done very well. People are kind of clueless. They don't have a plan. So if you're going to do this, I would recommend planning and thinking out what you're going to do and how you're going to compel the audience. Did you add a description to the copy? So remember, a copy compels people to watch the video. So you can add a description right away. Just have something copied on your phone, go live, paste it in the description. Pretty simple to do. That'll increase engagement. Strong internet connection, very important. Some of these cut out, that no one wins when that happens. Are you cross-promoting? A lot of our Facebook videos we did, like with Married in Milwaukee the other day, we shared it, they shared it, it goes more viral that way. So if you're incorporating others in the video and everyone shares it, the reach is going to be significantly higher. And then every time we do a video, we go back in and add captions, add subtitles. We do this because 85% of videos are watched silently on Facebook. People do not listen to sound on Facebook, they're watching it on mute. So like I said before, if your website's not mobile friendly, it's It's kind of like owning a retail store and telling 60% of people not to come in who want to come in. If you're putting a video up on Facebook and you're not putting subtitles on there, that's like telling 85% of people, don't watch my video. It's not very difficult to do. Facebook's made it easy, but just those little details make a big difference when you're trying to get engagement on social media. Then this one we did with the Pedal Tavern. The owners of the Pedal Tavern launched the Pedal Boat or something like that. I can't. The Pedal Tavern. Thank you. Okay, so we did that one. I shared it. They shared it. It got really good reach. It got over 6,800 views, shared 20 times. And what we did was we shot that. After I got home from the ride, I put the description, I added captions, and then I put just $20 behind it to our target audience, and it really took off after that. Those ad dollars, compared to a lot of other media methods, can go very far on Facebook. Big believer in that. So video themes, that can be good for your business. Facebook Live, product videos, question and answer. If you go to our site or our YouTube channel, we just started our Ease with the Go-Getters show, where each week we answer submitted questions from business owners, turn them into a video. You can see our first one on there. Behind the scenes footage, customer testimonials, good ones actually telling the story, not just putting them in front of the camera and having a script right there and they're looking at it and reading off of it. So good customer testimonials. Big announcement. If you're trying to drive traffic to a webinar you're doing, a deck, an ebook, something like that, having a video can be pretty engaging, help drive traffic there. Events, like some of the videos ads we did for this event right here. And interviews. I'll talk about how I've grown my business by podcasting in a few slides. So again, how to win on Facebook video, use captions. So I put compelling versus length up there. We're so used to creating a 30-second or 1-minute video for a TV spot. That's just what we've been accustomed to doing for decades. We've seen 10-minute videos perform really well. 5-minute videos perform really well. 15-second videos perform really well. We've also seen 30-second, 1-minute videos perform poorly. It's much more important that the content's very compelling opposed to the length. That said, it is typically easier to hold someone's attention for a minute opposed to 10 minutes. So if you're going long form, just make sure that content is really good. And using that story brand framework, I said use that for your brand. You guys should be using that for a lot of Facebook posts and videos you're putting out too. Just, speaking directly to that audience. What's their problem? How are you the guide? And then calling them to action. It's very simple. You can write a really good, 3-sentence boilerplate copy using that framework. Is the audio still good back there? Yeah. All right, great. Instagram. How many of you guys are active on Instagram for your companies? Okay. It makes sense for a lot of businesses, so I wanted to touch on it. 58 times more organic reach than on Facebook. As a lot of you know, the Facebook organic reach has plummeted. I think it's still an extremely powerful tool, or I wouldn't have spent half my speech on it here. But you do have to spend some money to be successful there, generally speaking. 75% of Instagram users take action. They'll go to a website after seeing a photo, or have done that. Very, very visual. That demographic's getting older. I believe the fastest growing segment right now is middle-aged women on Instagram. And it's just a good way to tell your brand story in a compelling way. What about Instagram stories? Has anyone done those? A couple people, I'll run through it relatively quickly. What about Snapchat? Anyone on there? Okay, so Instagram completely copied Snapchat, released Instagram stories. So you can put it up, and they've actually passed daily active users on Snapchat. They're just killing it on Instagram stories right now, and they just launched it in August. Snapchat's been around for 5 years or 5 years plus, something like that. You have great positioning at the top of the feed. And why this works well for brands opposed to Snapchat is a lot of brands already have built a following on Snapchat. It's much easier to build an Instagram following than a Snapchat following. So if you're debating between the two and you're a brand, in most cases I would definitely go towards Instagram stories. And yeah, it's positioned right at the top of the feed, right up in here. So if you put out an Instagram story, people are going to see it. They get very high engagement, and again, it's just a great way to tell your brand story through short videos, even photos, and reach a lot of people organically that way. How to win on Instagram? I post regularly. Use hashtags, but if you're using more than 2 or 3, hide them in the first comment. So some people post copy and then they'll do like 10, 20 hashtags right after that. Put on. And what they did was they held this cool event on the top floor of the city center building right downtown, and they have a rooftop. And they just invited 20 people with very large Instagram followings, mostly photographers, so they'd be really excited. They're a good fit for that place, for that event. They had them there. There were 21. They had a total following of 350,000, generated 18,000 likes off of 76 posts, and got over 641,000 impressions. I don't even know if the city center paid anything for that. They just put on a good event. So if you own a business, if you own a restaurant, a club, have a clothing brand, what can you do to incorporate these influencers, whether it's sending them free product, getting them incorporated in your brand? This is really, I don't want to say completely taking over PR, but this is, a really good form of PR. Teaming up with these people who are generally everyday people, not celebrities. They just have large engaged followings that they've built over time. If they're posting about your product in an authentic way, remember those referrals from people mean so much to your brand. Just thinking of how you can engage them for your brand. Someone who does it well, my friend Lizzie Weisler. Has anyone heard of Lizzie Beth? She owns a clothing store, 3rd Ward. She does a really good job. So what she does, I believe, every month is at her clothing boutique, she creates a celebrity where she teams up with a local blogger with a big social media and blog following in the area. So they have the exact same audience, they're just offering different product. And what she does is the blogger designs a shirt, Lizzie Beth produces it, she sells it in store. The blogger thinks it's really cool to have her own shirt, she sells it. They sell out pretty much every time, and it's a win-win-win situation for the blogger, for Lizzie Beth, and for the consumer, for their following. So trying to create that win-win-win situation. This is really what I've done a good job of at Go Get It over about the last 6 to 8 months. So back in late October, I decided to launch a podcast called The Go-Getters off of Go Get It, where I just interview Milwaukee community leaders and entrepreneurs every week. Not a really unique idea, just no one was really doing that podcast form here. What I've found is it's really turned into a Facebook video show. So we have the podcast on iTunes, then we chop every episode up into a 3 to 5 minute clip, put that on Facebook, and it's really taken off. These videos get thousands of views week after week after week, and no one's going to watch these and ask me to design their website or run their social media because it's highlighting the other person, but it's done a great job of getting our brand out there, aligning ourselves with community leaders and business owners who have, since come to us and worked with us. And it works really well because a lot of the people I have on, them or their companies have good social media followings. They love sharing the episodes. Their friends love seeing them on the show, and these get shared a lot. And recently, as of a couple weeks ago, On Milwaukee chose to cover our episodes. So now every episode On Milwaukee shares to their 70,000 Facebook followers and posts about it. So, which is, On Milwaukee's winning because I'm producing this content for free, and it's content that aligns with their values and that their audience wants to see. I'm winning because it's huge exposure for Go Get It that I wouldn't normally be getting, and the people I'm on it are winning. They're getting more exposure, and so is the audience because it's good content that people engage with. So just kind of finding who are these people in your industry that you can form strategic partnerships with, who are the influencers you're incorporating, and obviously that's going to be different for everyone, but just taking a thought at that. I'm a firm believer that this is probably the best marketing hack out there right now for a good amount of brands. So that's pretty much what I have today. Just to recap, create a compelling brand strip that positions you as the guide and your customer as the hero in the story. Go where your customers are, already spending time, and where you can engage and add value to them. Highly targeted Facebook ads are powerful when they are highly targeted, when the creative's good, and when the copy's good. Those three things really have to come together. Video's taking over. It's going to continue to do so. Influencer marketing, just went over that. And win on mobile. And keep an eye out for Facebook Messenger. That could be coming on. So, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I can take any questions. If you do want the slide deck, just write your email down. You can leave it on your seat or hand it to anyone in a red shirt back there. And yeah, I'll take questions. I'll be at booth 407 after this too. Thank you for having me.